The state of development finance in Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is one of the world's largest economic region, and the Southeast Asia, collectively known as the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations, has a combined GDP of US $3.8 trillion in the 2023, with the population about the 677 million. It engaged both with China and the US, and China actually dominates the development finance fee in the region. In 2022, China brought in something like a US 6.6 billion in many infrastructure projects under the umbrella of the Belt and Road Initiative. It showcased mega projects like Bandung Jakarta high-speed railway in Indonesia, Malaysia East Coast Rail Link, as well as a high-speed railway connecting the Yunnan province of China to Laos, and now connecting to Thailand. And in contrast, United States, under the umbrella of the United States International Development Finance Corporation, committed over $2 billion in 2022 across 50 development projects in the region. However, the recent developments in Washington, D.C., with the Trump administration announcing the 90-day freeze of the U.S. aid, halting about the over 60 billion aid money flows to different parts of the world. Southeast Asia is also going to be affected hugely by this aid suspension. In the meantime, China is also filling these development finance gaps. It continued to work on a number of BRI projects in the region, especially in the energy transition and some of the infrastructure projects, especially the railway projects across Southeast Asia. So the analysts are warning that the United States must urgently re-engage with the Southeast Asia in order to have a level playing field, and then also to hold market share in this very important region. How do you envision that the United States and China could potentially work together on the development finance initiatives? As the region has been seriously committing on energy transition, both countries could jointly invest in climate resilience and green infrastructure projects, aligning with the global sustainability goals. Coordinating efforts in the digital infrastructures and joining the recent efforts of ASEAN in putting in place the digital economy framework. And instead of competing for the AI revolution and the market share, maybe perhaps ASEAN provides a very suitable framework for both countries to collaborate with the region to advance the AI and the digital finance infrastructures, and also focusing on the shared priorities such as the pandemic response, the food security, and financial inclusion. The US and China can also foster a cooperative environment that benefits the Southeast Asia development while mitigating geopolitical tensions. One potential area of collaboration is the rising threat of the transnational cyber scams and illicit trade that has been rampant in some of the least developed countries like Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Chinese President Xi Jinping has recently launched a campaign to fight against the illicit activities, especially the cyber scam centers in Thailand-Myanmar border. And then the Thailand government has already appreciated to combat these initiatives. And maybe perhaps other non-traditional security threats such as the drug trafficking, and then trafficking of the wildlife and other illicit activities also needs attention for further cooperation between the U.S. and China to back up the ASEAN initiatives in reducing these threats, and maybe perhaps especially in the area of financial crimes is something that both the US and China can collaborate together with ASEAN. With new United States administration in Washington DC, with the looming trade competitions, and obviously the same intense competition will also happen in development finance field. And nonetheless, targeted collaboration initiatives such as working on the digital economic framework, as well as the climate and green financing, and lastly, the fighting against the non-traditional security threats and the cyber scams, drug trafficking, and the illicit trade flows will also be very important area for further cooperation. How do China and United States engage with Southeast Asia in the development finance field? Traditionally speaking, China focuses more on the infrastructure and connectivity projects, whereas United States focuses on good governance, the private sector development, health and social programs. It has a very contrasting approach to development finance in terms of hardware versus the software aspect of the development cooperation. Since a decade ago, China has invested quite a bit under the Belt and Road Initiative. It has been building railroads, bridges, and roads over the decade. In 2023, China launched it's a new approach, like a global development initiative, which also focuses on poverty reduction, food security, and also the digital economy and pandemic responses. In China has been quite fast in cooperating with the ASEAN in the recent initiative on the ASEAN Digital Economy Framework. This framework was estimated to value about $20 trillion for the next 20 years, and it is a lot of commitment and quite costly investment, but nonetheless, the ASEAN leaders are quite committed to move forward with this initiative, and China has been borrowing development finance and other technical assistance to this initiative. In conversely, the United States has been focusing more on the good governance, the private sector development, and health financing, and also the insurance and pharmaceuticals projects. And under the leadership of the Development Finance Corporation, it has a total of US $6.6 billion overlay in the region, and it also committed to provide food security programs like a Feed the Future programs that also covers some of the school feeding programs in a number of developing countries in Southeast Asia. But with the recent changes in the aid policy, some of these development finance flows will be terminated, and that will have a major impact in the whole region. Lately, both countries has been vying to compete in the emerging sectors like the artificial intelligence as well as the digital financing, and China has been quite quick to respond to the needs of these challenges facing the South Asia in terms of capitalizing on the recent AI revolution. And so in this area, the United States has to come quickly to re-engage with the ASEAN to involve in a number of initiatives in the artificial intelligence and the digital finance sectors.